Thrilled to be joined by college basketball coach, of course, Cal State Northridge, NC State, Bama, Murray State, Coach Matt Gottfried. He joins us here on the show. And, Coach, first off, thank you so much for joining. I want to ask about a team you played for and a team you coach. That, of course, is Alabama. About they dropped 96 last night without Brandon Miller scoring at all. You've watched Alabama this year. How good is this team?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And
Thank you.
I like their team. And, what they do, they shoot the ball, they spread the floor. If they're making shots, which they did yesterday, they're going to be hard to beat. And especially with Brandon Miller, he'll play obviously a lot better. But their ability to score the ball, shoot the three, spread you out, hard to guard, I think they've got a great chance to maybe make a run and win the whole thing.
Any concerns for you at the end of the season? About the last 5 out of 6 games, they struggled a bit from beyond the three-point line, but defensively they're so long and create so many problems. How concerned are you about their ability to shoot the ball from the three-point line for 6 consecutive games?
Well, I think that's going to be the whole key. I've told a lot of people that if you can, you're going to have some nights where you may not shoot it as well, but they just can't afford to have a night when they don't shoot it well at all. And they've had very few of those this year. So I think if they shoot it well, and it's interesting in their bracket, if you take a look at the bracket, and, Virginia was the 4 seed in that region. Arizona was the 2 seed in that region. Both of those 2 teams are out. So now, Baylor is a 3 seed. San Diego State is dangerous. I don't think they could beat Alabama, but, they're in a bracket where sometimes in the tournament, you're the benefactor of getting a little bit of help, and they've gotten that with from Princeton and the other game, Furman. So those two losses are as valuable for Alabama as anything.
Yeah, it's a nice path for Alabama. Coach Matt Gottfried joins us here on Sharp Money. Coach, take us inside the mind of Calvin Sampson in Houston. So they've got Auburn tomorrow, and essentially a home game for Auburn. But Marcus Sasser re-aggravates the groin, and then Jamal Shed with a hyperextended knee. You could tell that Coach Sampson was worried after that game last night.
Well, first of all, I think what he's done at Houston is just nuts. I mean, it's crazy how good. And, that program years and years and years ago was a national program, but not for a long time. So, last year, this year, he's done an amazing job. I think Auburn, you hate to be a guy that tries to predict wins and losses, but we all do it for the fun of it. But I think Auburn has a great chance to beat them. I like the way they play. I think Bruce has kind of proven it through the tournament, and I would not be shocked to see Auburn win that game.
Coach, you faced off against Jim Larinaga for 6 seasons when you were in the ACC with NC State. They played Drake today. This is a very good defensive Bulldogs team. Jim Larinaga's got good experience in the tournament. How do you see Miami matching up against Drake, especially with that backcourt and the success they've had with Isaiah Wong, Miller, and Pack?
Well, I like Drake's team, but I think that what Jim does really well with his teams, they probably execute in college basketball the pick and roll from different parts on the floor better than anybody. When we played against them in the ACC, and they've had good players over the years, obviously, and still do, but he does such a great job of finding mismatches, finding your weaknesses, using the pick and roll. The NBA does it so well. College basketball is getting there, but I think Jim Larinaga is ahead of the game with that. So I like Miami. Not sure after that game that they can get by Auburn or Houston, but I do like them a lot in this game against Drake.
Coach, can I get a few thoughts on Gonzaga? We were talking almost not necessarily under the radar, but the attention isn't there like it has been in the past. Does that add an advantage for Mark Few and this Gonzaga team this year?
It could, but I think with Mark's teams, they're really good, by the way, and probably underrated as far as the talent level they have on their team, even the last couple of years with Holmgren and Timmy and these kind of guys. But he's just done a great job. I think they've got a great shot to advance deep. I would love to see a UCLA Gonzaga game here down the road, maybe in the Sweet 16, I guess that would be. But I think they're really good, and they can run. If they play slow, they're good. The only thing that always concerns me with the Gonzaga is when you go through the WCC for 2.5 months, you get into the tournament and the talent level is higher. It's better. And, how does this particular team and those guys adjust to that? Because, they roll through the WCC other than St. Mary's, and it's a little different deal for them at this point in the year.
Coach, you were on that great 1995 UCLA team that won the national championship on the bench there with Jim Herrick. You guys have that great play by Tyus Edney to beat Missouri, and then you go on and win the national title. Xavier today plays a tight game. They escaped with the win today against Kennesaw State. How much can a win like that propel you, or can that be a bit of a challenge as you move forward for you guys? You guys obviously finished up the whole thing and won it all.
Well, I think they, in the first round game, you just want to win and get going so you stay alive, and I think you got to keep doing that the whole thing. But I do believe if you go through the tournament year after year, and we experienced it in Boise, Idaho, with Tyus Edney, and we're down by 1 with 4.8 seconds to go, and it gave us such wind behind our backs. It was unbelievable. I don't know that's there maybe in the first round, maybe, but I like Xavier's chances. I like their team. I like what Sean's done in his first year there, and you got to have a little bit of luck in this tournament. Coaching has to be great. The players have to be well coached, and they have to be talented. But sometimes in basketball and in sports, it comes down to a guy, kicking a field goal and the ball hits the upright. It's 4 inches to the right. It goes through the uprights, and that happens in sports. So you need a little bit of luck here and there. And, but they did survive round 1, and here they go.
Coach Mark Gottfried here on Sharp Money. Help me understand this 8-9 matchup with Memphis and Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic is going to try to spread you out and shoot you to death. But then you've got Memphis, who's got athletes, Coach, Kendrick Davis and more. Will Memphis eventually run FAU out the gym?
I think so. I really do. I like their team. I like their talent. No knock on Florida Atlantic. I think they've been far superior than probably anybody expected this whole year. And, to end up with a 9 seed even in that 8-9 game. I used to say that's the booby prize game because, you're in the tournament. The 8-9 two teams are teams that the committee, they don't know what to do with. So what you do is you stick them in the 8-9 game, and if they win one, then you got to play number 1 Purdue. But I like Memphis's talent. I like their team. I think, Penny's done a phenomenal job, and I do think whoever wins that game, I think they're going to have their hands full with Purdue because I think Purdue is a sleeper, not necessarily a sleeper. I think Alabama's there, but I think Purdue could win the national championship.
I would agree with you there with Zach Edey, who's going to probably be the National Player of the Year. Patrick, there's a definite chance for that. I want to ask you about a matchup between Mike Woodson's Indiana Hoosiers and Rob Senderoff's Kent State Golden Flashes. Many people probably haven't seen Kent, but this team is really, really good defensively. Sincere Carey, their best player, has been tremendous. But Indiana's got an experienced superstar in Trace Jackson Davis and then just an absolute talent in Jalen Hood-Schifino. Do you see one side having an advantage over the other here?
Well, let me just say this first. I couldn't be more prouder than Mike Woodson for what he's done at Indiana. He went back home. He'd been out of coaching for a couple of years, and I couldn't be more happy for him. That's amazing. And it is interesting, Rob Senderoff was on the staff years ago at Indiana when Kelvin was there, and, they had some issues. And so it's interesting how sometimes these matchups, they end up that way, and everybody kind of wants to think, did the committee do that on purpose or not? But anyway, that's an interesting matchup. I think Kent State's a nice team, but I love Indiana's team, and I love what Mike has done this first year.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.